So the growth potential of China's consumer economy seems to trump all for many investors, but there are a lot of questions about the ownership structure, the political affiliations. What are you most skeptical about when you look at Alibaba's IPO?
Well, I think the fundamentals are fantastic. Jack Ma has built a great company. The domestic opportunities are huge. The international opportunities are probably even better. But there are these questions of the ownership structure, of what kind of regulatory changes might occur in the future in China that investors don't have any advance notice of. Just bang, they happen, and the rules of the road have changed. They didn't really have any say in these changes. And there's just a lot of uncertainty there that I think people need to think about.
You also point out that the U.S. and China do not have an extradition treaty, which would be a problem if there are any kind of legal disputes that need to be resolved here.
Sure. In the limit, disputes happen now and then, and usually disputes get resolved in one way or another. They're not important unless you can't get them fixed. And if you can't get them fixed, then you don't really have that chance to between the two countries to resolve these disputes. And that needs to be remembered, at least.
Have you ever ordered from Alibaba? Have you ever used the product?
Yeah. No, I haven't.
Who orders from Alibaba? Who are the people that actually use this beast?
Well, they have a huge C2C business, consumer to consumer, and a B2C business as well.
So they take both platforms and they own the high ground in China.
Right. They do own the high ground, and that they have a giant market share in the consumer to consumer, and the business to consumer part is going to grow even more.
When you talk about these potential changes that could happen in China where investors get blindsided, give us an example or two.
Well, I'm not an Alibaba.
No, we understand that. You're only the leading economist on China.
There are still a lot of questions, I think, about the Alipay
the split of that.
Split transaction, whatever you want to call it. And there is, I don't think there's any guarantee that something like that.
In other words, aspects of the business that have been very profitable for Alibaba could effectively get split off and investors won't have a say. That's what you're worried about.
Yes, that's correct.
What about the establishment backing that Alibaba seems to enjoy from the political elites in China? You've got this backdrop of Xi Jinping's anti-corruption campaign. Should investors be worried about political risk here?
I don't think so. I suppose there are a few who are, but it seems to me that they are well positioned.
For now, though, I mean, we've seen how other people get wrapped up in this.
So if you go out 3 years or 5 years or whatever, there's always these kinds of risks.
I want to go to the froth of the moment. Let's bring up this archive photograph. This is a surveillance archive. It's in our museum, the Surveillance Museum here. There's Kirkpatrick on the left side and Kudrowski. Kirkpatrick's happier because he loaded the boat on Facebook at 38.
Look how young you are, Tom.
Yeah, I'm the dork in the middle without shares. I mean, this was a glowed moment. Compare the froth of this moment versus what you and Paul Kudrowski helped me with that day with Facebook.
That's an interesting question, Tom, because, for years I've been fascinated by the Chinese internet. I've been to China a lot. I'm lucky in that way. But for years, talking about it, people are like, Ali who? 10 what? Yeah. They just didn't focus on it. It's astonishing to me that the world has focused as completely on this recently obscure company as they have. I don't think it's inappropriate. Comparing it to Facebook, in the U.S., it's not nearly comparable because ordinary Americans were bananas over a Facebook IPO. And as many of the articles have pointed out, most ordinary Americans still haven't even heard of Alibaba. But, could I just weigh in on a couple of these people? First of all, regulatory risk is not even the word I'd use. It's like executive fiat. That's the way China works. And if you look at how Tencent, Alibaba's biggest rival, just got a banking license to be a private bank, one of the first private banks that's ever existed in China. There are only a couple ever. And Alibaba wanted one. They haven't gotten it yet. So those kinds of things are where you really can't predict what happens.